Hello and welcome to a Celtic State of Mind match day coverage. We are here for Celtic versus Motherwell at Celtic Park. Kickoff is at 3 p.m. I'm joined by Lawrence Connolly of the Axom Church. How you doing, Lawrence?
I'm doing well. I had a great night or day yesterday down at Great Celtic supporters with John Yogi Hughes at the Christmas
nice.
fair. Yeah, so
Nice.
it's a great one. Penalty spot event, you know.
Your confusion there suggests to me it was a day that turned into a night. Is that right?
Almost. No, we had to get John back to Glasgow.
I'll not ask anymore. And we are also joined from Endless Celts by Stephen Tomlinson. How are you doing, Stephen?
All good. I can't really say I had a day like Lawrence yesterday, but it's been a good weekend, quiet one, and I'm on with you guys, so looking forward to it.
Not many of us can say we've had a day like Lawrence yesterday, I'm sure, but we'll maybe leave that for the off-air chat because that was pretty interesting as well, I have to say, but we'll leave it there. Thank you everybody for joining us. There are over 100 of you in the stream already. Can see some familiar names comment on YouTube, Twitter, Twitch, wherever you are. We're obviously here for another home game at Celtic Park. It's against Motherwell. Last time we played them was a comfortable 2-0 victory at Fir Park back in October. But obviously a lot of you will have seen from the fixture on Thursday night against Batiste. A great victory for us, but not without its cost. We lost Kyogo to injury. We had a Yeti lost to injury with a few other ones. So there's some interesting things to discuss through the lineup, which I'll go through first. So the starting 11 is Hart, Juranovic, Carter Vickers, Starfelt, Taylor, Beaton, McGregor, Forrest, Rogic, Abada and Turnbull. Lawrence, I'll come to you first on that. I think the thing everybody wants to talk about first and foremost is the front line and how that's going to line up with the injuries that we've got up there. I was looking at it earlier and I couldn't really figure out for myself. There's some rumours going around about what the shape's going to be up top. But looking at that lineup, what do you think of it and how we're going to line up?
I think it's fairly interchangeable. Some points of the game you'll see Rogic as a false nine. Other points you might see Abada, Rogic wide right and Forrest wide left. So I think it's going to be fluid, which is good for the way Ange plays. But yeah, I think that definitely missing a striker. I would be a lot more confident with an actual striker in the park. But, it's Motherwell, it's Celtic Park. We need 3 points.
I was afraid it had a bit of the Craig Levines about it, that we were going to just go out at Celtic Park with nobody up top there and 6 across the midfield or something. Not far off it, to be fair. Stephen, you had an interesting idea about the front three, which I'm going to drop you in it and ask you to describe what you were thinking might happen. So go for it.
Well, I'm also thinking about Lawrence. I agree with what he's saying. I think Rogic will be the main pivot, the false nine. I think the wingers will come narrow to try and feed off the passes, the through balls that we all know Rogic can create. But it's a great point. I think it will be interchangeable. I think we'll see a batter through there sometimes for a bit of pace if we're kind of doing the through balls, long balls, that kind of thing. Rogic's go over to the right. I'm actually quite surprised at the bench, Laura. I was hoping to see Moffat or even the wee guy Dawson as a backup striker just to come on if we're struggling to get a goal. I do apologise for my dog in the background. He's going absolutely insane, but I don't know what that's about. But I mean, I think the lack of striker is really evident, and it's. I mean, the whole Q thing. Hopefully, it's not too serious. Like Anne's confirmed, it's not too serious, which is great for us. But I think Rogic will be the main pivot in the false nine in that formation.
Yeah, it's an interesting formation for certain, and it's going to. I think it's going to. What it's going to do is let us see how the team adapts to a slightly different shape, hopefully, and it will be interesting to see in that first 5 minutes how that shape takes place. Talking about the injuries, and I don't want to labour the point too much because I know it's been talked to death, but Lawrence, I wanted to get your thoughts just more generally on the game on Thursday night and some of the decisions that were made, and just come under a lot of stick for putting Kyogo on. Some people saying he had no other choice, some people saying he had plenty of choice and shouldn't have done it. Where do you stand on that and how things unfolded on Thursday night?
Listen, he had other choices. There was other people on the bench. It's, I think what we're saying, whether or not it was the correct choice. Is it the wrong choice because he get injured? If he went on and not playing injured, would be a complaint. Yeah, and it could have happened in training. I think, Thursday night, amazing result for us, first of all. A lot of young boys showed a, good bit of promise. I'd rather he went on and didn't get injured, but obviously that didn't happen. So my second choice would have been not on at all then. But that would have guaranteed he wouldn't have picked up something in training. And I think it just speaks to where we are with the squad. We really are so light in numbers. Yakima has been start-stop all season. I don't know how far away he is. Yeah, I think we all agree his time's up. It's just not going to happen for him at Celtic Park. So it's Kyogo up front's basically their option, isn't it? Until the transfer window opens. So yeah, it's frustrating, but great result. Unlucky to get out with 9 points up against 3 cracking teams. Listen, who knows? Maybe Angel will even win the conference for us. Maybe we'll be win a cup on Sunday coming, and by the end of the season we may have 4 trophies in the bag. The way Angel's got the team motoring.
If you told me a few years ago we would be excited at the prospect of maybe winning the conference, then I wouldn't have had a clue what you were talking about or believed you. But there you go. The world moves fast. Brian Degnan, our very own Brian Degnan, comes in and says, "Smashing top, Lawrence. You can, of course, get those on the Axon website. They are all the rage at the moment, and I'm sure they'll be under plenty of Christmas trees come Christmas morning." Stephen, what was your thoughts on the game on Thursday night? Obviously, you'll have given some sort of reflections on the Endless Celts podcast where you appear, but for the benefit of our viewers, what did you think of the performance? It was a pretty exciting match, I would say.
I thought the people who came in, the likes of Shaw, Uragide, they all played really well. I thought the team played well. The whole Kyogo thing, for me, I wouldn't have put him on. I was raging on the podcast the next day when we recorded right off the back of that game, so it was a bit fresh. And I agree with Lawrence. There were so many different alternatives within that game. You could have brought Mickey Johnson to go through the middle of Bata and then switch someone out to the wide. Keep him fresh for these final games coming up. But as Anne said, he's had a scan or whatever. The doctors have assessed him and it doesn't look that serious. So hopefully he's back in maybe a shorter time scale than we all thought at that time. But the guys who come in, I thought Uragide particularly played really well. I thought Welsh, again, was the better of the 2 centre-backs. Tom, we all know, is a midfield. That's where he's playing today. He just doesn't look comfortable centre-back at all. I thought Welsh performed out of his years in that game against Batiste. The left-back skills, Irishman like myself, thought he'd done really well. He was composed. He got up and down the left-hand side continuously. I thought Montgomery struggled, to be honest, Laura. I thought Montgomery struggled in the game. I thought he tried a few things, it didn't come off, and he looked like he just went into his shell a wee bit. But all in all, the 3-2 win was fantastic. And as Lauren said, we were desperately unlucky not to qualify with 9 points. And I think Turnbull's already alluded to the fact that Celtic are trying to aim to win the Conference League, but it's being optimistic. But as a trophy, we should be all looking at and trying to get as far as we can on anyway.
Yeah, Sean F on YouTube is backing up the point that you were making earlier, Stephen. Disappointed to see no Moffat on the bench, but maybe he can't play for some reason. If anybody in the chat knows a reason why he's not involved, let us know, but it's certainly not something that I'm aware of. Lawrence, Stephen brings up a good point about Thursday night, and it was something that I don't know if I've maybe expected to see more of the players who were playing on Thursday night to feature today, but certainly something that I came out of the game thinking was there was a lot of players that featured on Thursday that maybe I wouldn't have trusted before, that are maybe, showed themselves in such a good light that if an Uragide or a Scales or a Shaw had been in the lineup today, you maybe wouldn't have been as anxious as you otherwise might have been. Is that fair, do you think?
Yeah, I mean last season we had that was against Lille, with players we hadn't seen, and then they come on. Sorrell being one of them, although he's fallen out of favour. I think the more we see of players and where they're going to fit into the first team and how they handle the pressure. Scales get his goal, last weekend, another good game. I thought Henderson done well again, but he seems to be a boy. It just doesn't let you down. He doesn't hit a 9, but he seems to go on. He's just consistent. He's never below a 7, but he seems to drop out really quickly. But he's on the bench today, so it'd be interesting to see if he gets a run. He's a boy that knows where the goals is. He's come up through the academy. It's always great to see one of the academy boys make it. Steve's right. Welshie, steps in again and just looks so composed. At the centre half at 21. Yeah, I thought it was a great performance for them, and it does give us a bit of heart. As much as we say the squad's threadbare, we can now look and go, well, look, the boys handed it against, albeit, maybe not Betts' full first 11, but still a decent Betts team. They still, were able to handle the pressure and step up and get a result.
Yeah, absolutely. Sean Curran has answered the Moffat thing for us. Let me just bring that up. Moffat can't play. His mum apparently sent him in with a note. So I don't know if that's true, but Sean Curran appears to be in the know as far as that's concerned, but we'll crack on anyway. Stephen, Lawrence raises a couple of good points there about, some of the performers that we saw last night or on Thursday night as well, I should say. It's kind of interesting, isn't it? Like, we discussed it at length on the bulletins and on the post-match coverage and things, but I think the big thing I saw was that the way that we want to play football, the style that we're wanting to play, appears to be bleeding through the entire squad. Is that something that you saw when you were watching it? Is it something that you are encouraged to see?
Well, it's something I saw straight away when we first started the game against Real Betis. I thought that the players were on the front foot, they were pressing, and yes, with this style, you're going to concede goals. That's the unfortunate part of it. But as long as Ange always says we're scoring more than the opponent, then we're going to win the game, which is correct. But the young players are buying into this system. And when you see the likes of McGregor getting the goal last week off the press, he hit off his 5 went into the net, the younger players are going to buy off that because they're looking up to players like that to see if this process is working. And by all accounts, everyone's buying into it. And even the B team, Tommy McIntyre's team, they're buying into it as well. You see their formations when they're laid out, they're pressing with the inverted fullback. So it's something that Celtic, for me, has been crying out for a long, long time. It's been too disjointed from academy to first team. And for players to make the step up, like Shaw, even though he's training with the first team, he still needs to know how to play the system. Uragidi, the same at right back, even though many people say he's a centre back, which I believe he probably will end up at Celtic a centre back. And then Scales coming in, trying to play that comfortable way, coming in the inverted full-back position, lay off the ball to Montgomery, which he did fantastically well. So yeah, it is refreshing to see, Laura. I think it is key, and we always go on about it. The backroom staff from top to bottom, whether that's analysts, sports science guys, they need to drum it into the players. This is the way we're going to go. We've seen the injuries coming through, but Anne said this is what happens off the back of an intense training regime. So hopefully going well, it bodes well for the future, yeah.
Yeah, it was really encouraging to me as an avid follower of Barcelona outside of Celtic and having read a lot of books on Johan Cruyff and stuff. That was very much his attitude of this kind of football style that bled throughout the club. And it means that when you get players coming into the team who don't usually play, they don't have to have that relationship with the first team players to know exactly what their role is. And that was certainly something that we saw on Thursday night. Lawrence, I wanted to move ahead a little bit to today's game. We're playing Motherwell, who have not had a particularly bad season by their standards. They're sitting 5th in the table. They've had a good few results. Tony Watt is on fire for them. Some people calling for a Scotland call-up for him even. What problems do you see them posing for us today, if any?
I think it's on the break, especially with Watt's pace. And, we know we're weak at set pieces. But, I suppose on stats we've got the best defence in Scotland. So it's just, we need to be aware that, he's lightning quick and we need our centre-half to be kind of alive to possibilities and not get caught out with balls over the top or that he can run onto. I think our biggest worry is going to be the other end of the park, just exactly how this front three will function, without a recognised striker. I think that's our main worry, not so much what Motherwell's going to do. And really, I don't think Scotland should be about what another team's going to do is at Celtic Park. And I think that's part of Ange's philosophy, isn't it? It's like, I don't care about the other team. It's, we're going to go 100% for 90 minutes. We're going to attack and we're going to score goals. Let's hope, this front three can deliver on the goals part of it.
Yeah, I really hope they can, because, it's actually something that I think we've struggled with even with our full strength lineup, is to put away chances. So you're kind of struggling to wonder where those goals are going to come from today. Stephen, do you agree with that? Do you see any problems coming from Motherwell's side, or is it as Lawrence says and as Anne just put across, that it is all about us at the end of the day?
Well, in reality, it should be all about Celtic. Lawrence is correct, but again, we have to respect the opponent. And I'm a big advocate, and we should be beating most, if not all, teams in the SPFL with the team we have, and even the under-strength team in the 4+3, which should be still causing problems and scoring goals. But I think you're correct, Laura, when you say we get chances and we struggle to finish teams off. Well, yes, we had the 2 6-0 victories earlier in the season. It was fantastic to watch, brilliant football, but it's tailed off in that. It's been more controlled, still the Anne's way, but not as much goals. And the low block teams seem to get success in sitting back, and we scrape through for 1 or a 2-1 victory, a 1-0, 2-1 victory. The thing that concerns me is we always start quick in the first 20 minutes and then tail off until half time, do it again. And it's just trying to keep that consistency from the first minute to the last minute. And I think the front three, one thing that will be in the front three today will be pace, albeit Kyogo's missing, but you've got Abada and Forrest, and Forrest can score goals. Abada's proved he can score goals. Rodzi can come up with special moments. So that's one thing you're trying to focus on today and trying to see if that comes to fruition. I mean, you're right when you say Tony Watt. I think he's still the top goal scorer in the SPL, isn't he?
I think
Just,
so, yeah.
Yeah, just ahead of Kyogo, and he's been on brilliant form. They've got the big Dutch boy, Van Veen, up front. He can hold the ball up. Mugabe, I like their centre-back. I've always liked him, actually, when he's playing for Motherwell. So they do have players that can cause us problems, but it's up to Celtic to take the game to them and win the game. That's where this season is going to be won. Winning games, that's the most important thing.
Yeah, I think you're right. I think we need to go ahead and make sure that we take the game to them as we have done every other team, because it's the only way that we can really get past teams. Let's hope they don't do a St Johnstone or St Mirren and kind of, or not St Mirren, we actually tanked them. Livingston parked the bus in front of us and caused it to be difficult for us to break down. Thanks everybody for commenting on Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, wherever you're watching. Terence Pat has got to the important stuff. As Laura said, Ginola got voted out. I'm absolutely devastated, honest to God. He was my winner. But this is what it is, guys. The importance of voting for your favourites. That's what it's all about, because I didn't do that, and now I'm reaping the sad rewards of it.
Ginola didn't sign for us. He was in the taxi.
Well, I was going to say that. I was more
to him not signing for us.
Well, no, he's at. I should maybe explain it to you, Lawrence. He's in a Welsh castle. It's a long story. We'll move on to the next.
What happens when you don't sign for Celtic? You end up in Wales.
In a castle.
No comment on that whatsoever. It's all about these sliding doors moments in it. You end up at Celtic Park and then you end up in Newcastle. Who knows what's going to happen? But Lawrence, I wanted to pick up on something Stephen said there. Obviously, we've got James Forrest coming back into the team after not featuring on Thursday night. I'm kind of hoping that this is the start of a decent run for him, that he's going to be in the team regularly. Do you see that happening for James Forrest?
I think it's injury permitting and how we manage him. Anne just talked about the crazy schedule we've got and the toll it's taken on players. And I think Forrest has suffered his injuries this season already, and I think he's a starter if he's 100% fit in front of Abada. I don't think that there's any doubt about that, but I think he won't play every game. I think Ange will manage him throughout the season when he's got the squad to do that, or when he's got the players to do it. So yeah, I think Forrest is far and away our best choice wide right. He's a one of the first 11 for me, but I think we will expect to see him managed through the season, and with Abada as his backup. Maybe even Dembele if he gets fit. Who knows?
Good point.
I would certainly hope so. Stephen, it's something that we talked about with Alan on the bulletin on Friday, that injuries seem to be an ongoing cause, not just because of the fixture pile-up, but that just the fact that they're happening as frequently as they are. Do you think there's anything to do with the way that we are training the players? We keep hearing about the intensity of Ange's training. Do you think there's anything behind that about why we're so susceptible to injury, or is it just a case of bad luck, do you think?
I think it's probably down to one of two things. It's the squad depth as well. Players of different qualities. You see it as Mickey Johnson coming in for Jada. There's a big drop-off. So you have to keep your best players on the pitch. Forrest coming back for Abada, for him rotation. So that's good on the right-hand side. The injury pile-up is something Ans did say would happen, because players need to get used to this kind of intensity, this constant pressing, constant going at teams. And unfortunately, it's going to take its toll. We've seen that. We've got like 5 injuries at the moment, probably the biggest injury list in Scotland as we speak now. And in the training, it kind of bugs me that we don't know much behind the scenes in terms of who's sports science. I know Anton McElhone, he's the head of sports science, but what guys are below him? What kind of equipment do we use to kind of detect players' injuries? There's so much kind of state-of-the-art technology that Celtic, for me, need to take advantage of and get into Celtic Park, into Lennoxtown, Barrowfield, wherever it may be, so they can keep track of players, and then maybe we can avoid situations like we are in now.
Your dog's absolutely raging about the injuries, that's for sure.
Human, Laura, human.
Tom Mac on YouTube has commented, scales even on our bench. Just to run through the team for anybody who was late in joining, we've got Hart, Juranovic, Carter, Vickers, Starfelt, Taylor, Beaton, McGregor, Forrest, Rogic, Abada and Turnbull. And the bench, which we didn't run through previously, is Bain, McCarthy, Johnston, Shaw, Henderson, Ralston and Welsh. So no place for Liam Scales there today. I'm unsure why that is, but I thought he was particularly composed. Stephen, you touched on him earlier about Scales and the impact that he's having. I think I was one of the people that kind of unfairly wrote him off as a kind of not Ange signing, just because I didn't believe that Ange would have come from the other side of the world to sign a left back from Shamrock Rovers. But I don't know, he seems to me to fit the style of Ange. Do you not think so?
Well, let me tell you something. See, the week before he came on and scored that goal, I was on my podcast saying we probably won't see much of Liam Scales. Then he pops up and scores. So that's my luck in terms of that's my luck in terms of predicting what players are going to do in the future. But Liam Scales for me, he's tall, 6'4", he's athletic, he's strong. He might not be the quickest, but he keeps the ball well and he plays it simple. That's what you need in a footballer, especially in this type of style. Give it to the players who can play with the ball. He done that. Unfortunately, on the left hand side, Montgomery, as I said at the start of the show, he didn't really show up well. I thought he kind of struggled, and they were playing on the left together. And I thought Liam Scales was kind of left by himself a few times. He did well. I was expecting him to be involved in some sort of capacity today. Whether it's another injury, then again that adds further problems to the squad depth. But I mean, everyone over here raves about him. I'm ignorant. I haven't watched much of the League of Ireland, so I can't really comment on that. But every kind of commentator I hear or read about, they say he's one of the best prospects coming out of Ireland. Basically, back as far back as Roy Keane, McGeady, them types of players. So he has a big reputation over here, and let's see if he lives up to it.
Yeah, he did, of course, score the goal of the season for Shamrock Rovers against Dundalk. I think I saw on Twitter the other day, and it was a cracker as well. So more of those from him would be absolutely fantastic. Lawrence, looking at the rest of the team, an interesting one for me is Beaton. Stephen touched on earlier that he's not comfortable in the defence, and I mean, he's just naturally not a defender. What have you made overall? Like, what's your overall opinion been of his midfield performances since he's been allowed to take up his more natural position?
Listen, I'm not surprised at the cracking start under Ronnie. So should we say Ronnie, who's now won leagues in Norway, Scotland, and the USA?
Listen, I saw a bit more of Ronnie than I wanted to on Twitter this morning, but we'll leave that there.
More of Ronnie, but not enough of Ange. But listen, no, there's no surprise that Beaton's done it for me. Under Ronnie, showed he could play that in midfield. And I think maybe his versatility, he's kind of fell into being a backup centre half. And it's maybe his willingness to play there and not complain, just go on with things that led to him fitting in there. He's come in, he's got a range of passing. He's looked great in there. McCarthy's going to have to try and move him, but at number 6, we've got 3 good options now. So I think maybe Sora's gone. For me, you've got McGregor, McCarthy, you've got Beaton, and even Robertson when he comes back in there. So I'd expect maybe to see Sora move on. Beaton, of course, he'll get his testimonial next year, won't he? That'll be 10 years.
I think so. That's unbelievable, but yeah.
Yeah, I'm even starting to feel old now. I think I can remember the times. It's no surprise he's done well. I thought, I think I said last season, he could be a natural replacement for Brown. Still stand by that as a number 6 for us.
Yeah, you'll notice when you said you're starting to feel old, Stephen and I kept conspicuously quiet there. We didn't really want to
had that feeling long before me.
No, it's an interesting point, and Stephen, it's something I wanted to actually bring up just as a discussion point, but it's one of these things in football where I can never decide whether versatility in a player, the ability to play a range of different positions, is a good thing or a bad thing, because sometimes it leads to players kind of never nailing down a position in the team, and sometimes they actually end up getting more football than they ever would have got just because they're able to fill the spaces. Do you think it's been a hindrance for Beaton in years gone by, or do you think it's actually helped prolong his career?
I think personally Celtic caused the hindrance. We put him there as kind of an emergency centre back, and then ever since we've done that, I think it was a European game, I think it was Shakhtar Karagandhi or one of them games, he's played there continuously for us coming up tonight. Beaton was always a centre midfielder. He was signed that way. I mean, he plays there for his country, so when he also plays in the back three, which again is down to us. But there's no doubt he can fill gaps, and it's good to have players that can fill gaps of a team. What's that old saying? A utility type player who can fill in multiple positions. So Beaton, he's a proper centre midfield player. I think Lawrence is right. Number 6, he breaks up the play well. And what I like about him, he plays forward passes all the time. He's looking to play in the front foot. He very rarely goes back. And not to say anything bad about McCarthy, I've already done that in my own podcast. So McCarthy, for me, slows down the play an awful lot, and he plays it sideways and goes back the way, keeps it safe. But Beaton's always looking to play forward to the wingers, to the striker, and the feet. So I like that about him, and I think Lawrence is right. Beaton can play there consistently for Celtic. Yes, there probably is better quality, but it's a position I don't think Celtic really need to fill right now. I think there's striker positions, left back again, another centre back. So there's other priorities in the pitch. Beaton for me, yes, Laura, I've written him off so many times, but he's come back, and at the minute in midfield he's playing well, so I can't really say anything bad about him.
No, I appreciate you kind of going light on McCarthy there, and let's not even get started on Mikey Johnston, or I'll get pilloried again.
No,
Just looking at the comments, Martin Jock Johnson says, "Hail, hail, Coventry City CSC, Coventry City CSC, Coventry CSC." I nearly had you supporting two teams at once there. Obviously not possible. But if you're watching from anywhere around the world, let us know if you're part of any Celtic supporters clubs. We love to hear from everybody around the world who's watching, because I think we've had plenty of viewers from Australia to America and back. So it's fantastic to see you all in here.
Those Coventry boys, I think they leave like 2:45 in the morning to come up here for the game. Get a few pickups on the way. It's
unreal.
And listen, Laurie, you can support two teams. There's obviously even three.
No,
like
you
me.
can't.
Celtic Reserves, Celtic Ladies.
Go on there, Lawrence. Come on, you.
Smooth, Lawrence. I'll give you that one. So it's a strange situation for us to be in, Lawrence, and not to look too far ahead before the end of the game, but how would you like to see Ange manage the game, considering we've got so many games this month, the cup final included?
Well, it depends when we get goals, and I think if we get a couple up, it would be maybe looking at a couple of changes, and probably bringing on McCarthy. I think he's needing minutes in his legs, and Henderson I'd like to see get a run out. Johnston was I thought was a wee bit better during the week, but he's still not hit his first two seasons heights. I think it was a goal every 6 games in his first 2 seasons. Yeah,
he was fantastic. It's ever since he's come back from the injury, and I think, to be honest, we're all kind of treating Julian with kid gloves about coming back from the injury and saying he might not be the same player that he once was. We've never considered that might be the case for Mikey Johnston. It's a pretty serious injury he's come back from as well.
Yeah, I think it looks low in confidence as well. Just whatever he's trying's not working, and it was a bit better. Maybe it's just minutes he needs. He needs a bit of a run. Look what happened to Tony Ralston when he got a run.
Yeah.
So
he was terrible, wasn't he?
I don't know. He's, I think Youthwell had him in their team of the tournament so far. So who knows? Opinions.
No, he has been absolutely fantastic. He's been a testament to what you can do when you get your head down and work hard, which too many players for Celtic have not done yet this season, or last season, I should say. They've been absolutely fantastic this season. Listen, I think what we're going to do is we're going to call time on the pre-match just to give everybody a chance to take their seats for the kickoff at 3 p.m, whether you're listening to it on the radio or watching it on TV if you're abroad, whatever you're doing. Thanks very much, everybody, for joining us. And before we go, Stephen, I will do what I like to do and ask for a prediction for today's game. What do you think it's going to be?
3-0.
3-0. I like the positivity and clarifying it was Celtic. That was good. Lawrence, what about you?
Well, since we were talking about Forrest, I've gone back to his debut. I'm going to go 4-0 against Well.
Wow. I'm going to go somewhere. I'm going to go a little bit more conservative as I like to do. I'm going to give Tony Watt a go, and I'm going to say 2-1 Celtic. Oh, jeez, I nearly said 2-1 Motherwell.
What's going on, Laura? What's going on?
2-1 Celtic. Jeez, I'm a
Depending
covert steel man. That's what.
Laura.
Oh God, I think we better end this before I say anything else I regret. Thanks everybody much for joining us. We'll be back at half time, and we'll see you then.